Welcome to the EFLARE Invitational. We're going to have $100,000 on the line for the Southeast Asian region. I'm Tita. I'm joined by the man himself, the Hong Kong boy, the Malaysian man, the legendary Southeast Asian Counter-Strike class Michael Yumi Cassidy.
Yeah, well, I don't think I'm deserving of any of that titleship or any of the credence, but hey, I'll happily take it. Hong Kong born and raised, lived in Singapore for 5 years after that, and I'm loving the fact that we have a tournament that the Southeast Asia circuit can enjoy, and a big prize pool to boot at that.
Oh, absolutely. EFLARE is doing some wonderful stuff. Obviously, we've seen so much from the Mongolian side of things. We've seen so much from China when it comes to having an impact on global Counter-Strike. And listen, man, we can't call it Asia without thinking about the rest of the countries, right? It's not just Mongolia. It's not just China. We have had actually a pretty big legacy of the Southeast Asian region producing some great teams. You know, you have to think back towards CS2, but there was Lucid Dream, there was the Boot Dreamscape lineup. You had NKT obviously transitioning into CS2 as well. We've had some fantastic teams actually come through and being dark horses from other countries, and I think EFLARE could be the start of, maybe some of that coming back up. But let's take a look at the schedule. We have 16 teams across first three, as you can see, as follows. OnGay Warriors already taking out Icarus by the fastest win possible. That's a default win, so do keep in mind that for the next few days when you are tuning in, you'll have to tune in 1 hour earlier to right now. So remember that. Lots of great Counter-Strike to be played, but of course Old Girds versus Saligo Girds is what we're starting off with. EZPZ Balloon Animals, all that good stuff, and the remaining 3 best of ones also will be brought up for you.
Yeah, it's a nice little sort of double elimination circuit within the opening round, and you have to get a win in the best of ones to show that you have what it takes later on in the tournament as well. There's no point basically going through all these 16 teams, especially when we've got so many teams that are basically freshly made for this tournament. A lot of sort of replacement players coming in from Valorant and previously CSGO. A lot of FPS history, sure, but maybe not having the same repetitions that some other teams will have still active in the circuit. So it's good that we have a way to sort of filter out the weak pretty quickly.
And well, we're starting off with a team that I don't know how strong they are, right? They could be really weak, they could be really strong. We've got Old Goats, and if you're wondering about who that is, a lot of that is the Bleed Esports Valorant lineup. And of course, they're going up against Saligo Girds, one of the Filipino teams that will be coming into it. Old Goats have got Legia, obviously, the head coach of Bleed, Neff, Crazy Guy, and Retla, all of whom have played for Bleed before. Crazy Guy and Darion, who is, of course, their 5th player, are, I believe, currently playing for Bleed as well, right? So these Valorant Zoomers are going to come in along with one German boomer from Counter-Strike, right? Let's see how they really do across this event. We know they're not going to win this one, Michael. This is about CS2, baby. This is about the superior game.
It's actually kind of, it's very nice coming into Counter-Strike 2 and then having a lot of these sort of familiar faces or recurring characters within the Asia scene now crop their head back up for what is a Southeast Asia focused tournament, because it does kind of remind me of just going to a LAN hole to a certain extent and seeing some guys that don't typically compete anymore still ready to throw their hat in the ring for a few extra prizes. And this is no small tournament, so the fact that we've got players like Legia rearing their head back up, to have Crazy Guy in the server as well, this is a team that is going to be very interesting further down the stretch. These opening rounds, I think they're pretty much almost one of our lock-in teams, given the amount of experience and firepower that these guys should bring to the table.
I mean, let's also take a look at the veto. It's a BO1, right? So I'm just going to gloss over that. But an interesting fact is, Michael, that with 100k on the line, Legia's Counter-Strike career in total spanned from 2012 to 2021. He had, as is listed on Wikipedia, his total winnings are $83,000. Right, so this is a very significant event when you think about the prize money and whatnot relative to even Legia's career. Obviously, we have started going over towards more of a salary-based model, but yeah, Mirage is the map coming in. I don't think there's any surprises here, Michael. The two of us have talked a lot about how in Asia these days it does seem like it's a 3-map pool region when it comes to a lot of these matchups. It's Mirage, it's Anubis, and it's Ancient. Yeah,
I mean, 3 maps that are all very one-plane focused, pretty simple on the baseline to understand and play, and then you can add your own little bits of flair as well with the changes of pace and the ways that you use your utilities. So it does feel very Asia-focused. I felt like there was a time where we maybe actually had more regional segregation as to which maps were the favorites. But it feels like with CS2, a lot of that has been completely negated. You know, South America is very similar. Europe, to a certain extent, the further down the rungs you get, also very much the same. So yeah, no surprises that those 3 maps are probably what we're going to see the most of today.
It's going to be exciting, though, to see if anyone can actually start to bring out maybe some interesting strats and whatnot. No surprises that Old Goats are going for the Nubis ban, the Ancient ban, right? A lot of these guys haven't played on any of these newer maps at all. And obviously, you know, Legia is not the only guy here. And guys, the reason why we're not talking much about Sanico Girds is, I'm going to be honest, I don't know many of these players. And that is one of the exciting things about, you know, being such a regionally focused tournament that's coming up. We're going to get to see a lot of new names, and it's going to be very exciting. And we're going to have a lot more to talk about them as the tournament goes on. But for now, a lot of the focus will be on Old Goats. And, you know, I was just telling Michael this off air. Crazy Guy and Old Goats, this man is a Vietnamese face-it fiend. Every single time he used to come in a lobby against any player that I've sort of talked to, like any player from Pakistan, any player from Singapore, it's like, yeah, we're not going to win this. We're just not going to win this in the slightest. And listen, this is where that aura might be extending out to tournaments as well, Michael. That aura might be a little bit too daunting, because we've just gotten words that Salico Girds might have found out, wait, what the hell, a Crazy Guy? As in the Crazy Guy? The Vietnamese Venom? No. I don't think we can actually stand up against him in the server. We might have to take a knee here, Michael.
It's kind of funny to think that, you know, the fiends that I think of the most in the Asia region as of late, you know, I mean, Annihilation was a name that really popped off the page for a long time, and his name very much fits the bill. To have a name like Crazy Guy, yeah, I can imagine that's a bit intimidating. It's like he knows himself so well, he's willing to tell everybody exactly who he is, and I don't know if I want to face that.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's definitely, I think, the best Vietnamese FPS player that I know of. Obviously, there is some, there would have been some competition, but the best Vietnamese team actually recently disbanded. The 335 Chao Gao Mei side, which was playing with, I think it was Cage, Hatred, Frostly, High Rambo, and I can't remember the 5th one for the life of me, but whoever it was, those guys did actually have some good impact within the Asian region, especially with, you know, recently the ISF Asian Championship happened, Michael, back in Saudi Arabia a couple of months ago. I had the pleasure of going there for that one as well, and they look really good. Honestly, they look like they could have maybe sort of have a puncher's chance up against Mongolia. They could have a puncher's chance up against Uzbekistan, who ended up winning out the entire tournament towards the end of things. But those 5 players haven't really taken their career forward. So now a lot of this sort of Vietnamese scene is wide open. And Vietnam has a thriving Counter-Strike fandom, right? You look over towards the viewership that their language streams get when, you know, things like the IEMs are going on, the ESL Pro Leagues are going on. Vietnam gets like 20, 30,000 people tuning into their streams. It's very impressive numbers out there.
I think they even did okay at the finals of IESF when they went to Yashin, Romania. So, I mean, to have Vietnamese representation out in a region where, I mean, there's not a lot of Vietnamese teams that we see sort of floating around the circuit when we get these open qualifiers for these Sydney events or for the ESL Challenger circuit, for example. You know, we don't often see Vietnamese representation. I think the last we saw was maybe Hatred Bloom with Nexca along quite a few seasons ago. But to have that kind of absence from a region that, yeah, like you're saying, you know, does seem to still garner some solid viewership, as well as still being fairly active within the FPS communities. I know that they're still are able to field teams in Valorant, for example, as well. Yeah, these are nice events to sort of bring more attention back to some regions that don't actually have those teams sort of floating around the circuit.
Well, listen, Michael, we've got some unfortunate news, right? Sanico Girds are going to be forfeiting the match. They're having some connection issues going on as they're sort of trying to hook up with the servers and everything. So we are going to be apologetic to the viewers. But you know what? I think we can maybe take a couple of minutes, maybe talk a bit more about the Asian scene as well, right? I don't want to just send people off to an hour-long break. Let's give them something to maybe, you know, go back, give them some homework, right, over this next half an hour and whatnot. And listen, if you guys are sort of tuning in, Michael, I know that you are now officially one of the best, like, Asian experts in the world, but you know, you weren't necessarily always such an aficionado back in the day, right? A couple of years ago, maybe earlier on. I'd really recommend everyone to go back, check out the Boot Dreamscape lineup, check out the Lucid Dream lineups, you know, look at the old MVP lineup. There is even in Counter-Strike Global Offensive, a history of Thai teams, a history of, Singaporean teams when it comes to Hwatsai especially. There's a history of Korean teams. There are a lot of teams, hell, even Japanese scary faces who all transition over to Valorant and have been very successful there. These are teams that have had a real history in Counter-Strike that is very similar to Mongolia, because if you guys don't know, Mongolian teams never actually won anything. It was always Chinese teams, and then sometimes it would be the Korean stack that had Zayn in it. But Mongolia, has had this rise up, and unfortunately, unlike Mongolia, all of the rest of Southeast Asia, which could have risen up, it felt like we had a generation of talent just removed. And I'm really hopeful that, with things like EFLARE and whatnot, maybe we can start to reverse some of that. Maybe nature can heal, Michael.
It's also, at the start of Counter-Strike Global Offensive, a lot of the ways in which regions got our access to the international circuit was just by direct invites, and there was no league or something to actually sort of internalize the rankings. It was kind of which team seemed to be doing the best sort of optically. You didn't really know if you were going to get the best from what that region had to offer, and the regions that were targeted, China and Australia, ended up being the regions that took over in the early stages of Counter-Strike Global Offensive. And then we started to get more of an open circuit. We got more tournaments. We had Extremes LAN was a big one for the Asia region, I know for sure. We were able to get more and more of these events where you could actually place different teams a bit more systematically, and then invites felt like they had more credence or credibility to them, which is not to discredit any of the teams that made use of those early invite systems in Global Offensive, but it did actually serve as a way to prop up that region and make those areas more dominant domestically, because they got those international opportunities where others missed out.
I mean, look, to put into context, one of the majors that happened almost 10 years ago now, right? ESL won Cologne 2014. That was a major where, and again, I don't know how many of the viewers know this, there was an Indian team directly invited to the tournament. And that was because when ESL got the major, they had recently had a partnership which had launched ESL in India as well, right? So in order to promote that, they had an Indian team going forward to the major. When you think of that concept now, that seems ludicrous. Right? It's like, wait, so you invited an Indian team to the World Championship?
To the most important event of the year, almost, yeah.
Because you opened an office in India? Like, is that the justification that we're going? Is that all it takes to get an invite to the major these days, right? So, like, you're right. A lot of the scene was very, very different now. We weren't as formalized. We weren't as much of a sport. We didn't have people making, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in salary. And unfortunately, the Southeast Asian region didn't really have that happen. But, with CS2 coming out, there is a lot of hope that, with team tournament organizers like EFLARE, a couple of days ago, you mentioned Extreme, that it got announced that it's coming back, right? The scene is sort of reviving slowly, and it's really exciting stuff. I mean, hell, Michael, we just had the Chinese major announced as well for next year.
Yeah, and China seems to be getting quite a bit of love, or the Asia region just in general seems to be getting quite a bit of love with the launch of CS2, and the fact that we're getting some of these big events. I think there's an IEM in China as well set for next year. We just had CAC that took place, and as well, the fact that we're going to be able to get that major. So I like that. You use the term nature is healing. I don't know that it ever really will heal. I don't know if you can heal. You can overheal the Asia region at the moment, because I don't ever think it was in parity with what Europe and North America had to offer at any given point. But we just need more of those events to sort of crop up and show that the Asia region has the fan base and the player base to support it, because we've had the arguments already made. Rare Atom, now Tai Lu, were always fighting for the top versus the Mongols, especially over the past couple of years, even though they were the better team for longer than the Mongols, or most of the Mongolian scene for that matter, only for them to be overtaken. Like, that's the kind of story that really, I think, hooked me as somebody that was sort of outside the Asia region looking in, but then also just being able to cover them on that progress and on that journey is exactly what I want to see from regions like Vietnam, or just the Southeast Asian mixed teams that really capture how hybridized and diverse the region can really offer, not only different nationalities, but also different ways of playing the game.
I mean, look, when you're talking about that Mongolia versus China rivalry, to put into context, the first tournament ever where a Mongolian team managed to triumph over Asia in like a significant manner was actually back in 2020. That's how recent it was. It was the ESL1 Road to Rio 2020, and I remember that very fondly, specifically because that was one of the that was the minor I was coaching a team in, right? So Tiger was the first team to then come through. They beat out Tai Lu of back then to be number one. Then D13 was third to fourth place, tied out with Vici Gaming, obviously, who went on to become Real Adam, who are now the current Tai Lu, right? And Tiger back then had like Dobu, NCL, Nine, Cabal, Urkast in there, right? These are players who have then gone on to create the Mongolian scene. D13 as well. I mean, you look at those names, it's Annihilation, it's Score, it's Rate, it's Tamir, right? These are players who have been playing for so long, but it felt like they would never actually overtake. And the Mongolian region didn't have to be alone in its sort of development. And I think that it is all sort of coming back. And Michael, you're right. Nature isn't healing; it's becoming what it was meant to be, Michael. That's what it is. And to be honest, you know, when you look over towards China, especially, and I'm going to get a little bit nerdy here, guys, so forgive me. Oh, I'm on a Twitch stream talking about esports and games, and I apologize about being nerdy. But you know, in China, obviously, there's a lot of policies around here, like, you know, how many games can be released per year, this and that and everything. And with Counter-Strike 2 being basically what is effectively an update, right? It isn't seen and it isn't marketed as a new store page on Steam. It isn't a new game on Steam and whatnot, right? And at the same time, it comes with a lot of hype, but it's free to play. And the criticism for Counter-Strike's distribution in Asia was once upon a time very heavily, and look, there's other criticisms as well, it was that it isn't free to play. And that when it had been launched for so many years at $15 or however much it used to cost back then, I don't even remember honestly at this point, but it was too much to sort of justify playing within the Asian scene. And now that we've got CS2 coming out, there's fewer games and whatnot, it's new, it's cool, it's fashionable, it's hip, it's probably going to be in these LAN centers, in these PC bungs. This is going to be a really exciting time for a lot of this region. And look, I'm not going to be crazy and say, hey, we're going to be bigger than Valorant, because Valorant's become really big, right? You know, Valorant's firmly got its roots.
It's got its own
we don't
thing
need
going
to be.
on. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You know, that's for the weeaboos and the nerds who watch anime. Michael, we're not like that at all, right? But shout out Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, the goat. But no, but obviously, it's still going to be great to just have like a small market carved out within Asia as well. And, you know, we can start to make inroads to being a truly global game.
I think as well, like when I was growing up in the region, one of the games that was still very, very like competitive and we would play a lot was actually, I think it was a game called Sudden Attack, which is basically a Counter-Strike clone where you actually had to like do microtransactions just to have like an AWP in your loadout,
Really?
which is totally ridiculous, and you'd only be able to have it for like a limited period of time. That to me is such like a foreign concept, but because Sudden Attack was free to play and Global Offensive when it first came out was a pay-to-play game that also didn't play very well on launch, you know, there was kind of no incentive for anybody to switch over to play that game and actually take it seriously over a game that they had already familiarized themselves with the maps. They, I guess, came to terms with the fact that that's just how the gun economy sort of metric is going to work. And also, you didn't have to do all this mental math because you made your loadout and that was kind of it. You played the game. So in a lot of ways, Counter-Strike was more complicated, wasn't as refined on release as it probably should have been to really market to that audience. But also, yeah, it doesn't have the right model to sort of reach out into the PC banks.
Oh, Michael, it's really funny that you brought up sort of the, how well it played on launch, because, you know, a couple of days ago, you know, shout out to the Lance Free Nation CSGO channel. They do some great content, but they had a new Snake and Banter coming out. And one of the points that I think Eminem's, who is a Wikipedia editor, great guy, knows a lot of the NA scene, really wonderful person from all of my interactions with him. I feel like I need to give this like disclaimer before I sort of roast him for this one. But he talked about how, you know, he doesn't want games optimized for old PCs and whatnot. I was just thinking, yeah, I agree with you. And then he give an example of what he thinks in old PCs. He's like, you know, these 2070s and these i5s from 2015. I'm just like, wait, that sounds like a pretty legit PC, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's pretty good, right? So obviously, right, in the Asian region, that has been historically one of the issues as well, that you need a game that's very well optimized. And look, there's been a lot of memeing on the CS developers and everyone, like when they're saying that we're prioritizing FPS and everything, but that does actually help out regions like Asia, right, where a lot of the gaming is in PC bungs, which, you know, the PCs might not be that new. They have to go budget, they have to do this, they have to do that. So yeah, I'm happy about where we're headed to. I think it's going to be really exciting stuff, especially with independent organizers, the first of which, in my opinion, so far that we've seen is EFLARE. And I'm excited, man. It's going to be some good stuff already. I've sort of done a run through for all of the 16 teams. I see a lot of teams in there who have been sort of trying to compete, who've been trying to, get their ESCA seasons in here and there. They'll play their local tournaments and whatnot. They're sort of on the fringe of maybe dedicating a little bit more time to it. And I think this could very much be the push for these, Hong Kong teams, these Singapore and Malaysian teams, these Vietnamese teams even, to actually come forward and take a step through.
Yeah, no, it's just all about providing the right platform and, win a bit of money here in a tournament like EFLARE, and then suddenly you feel like you can justify more weeks or more months of your time to then compete in some of these open qualifiers where we sometimes don't see the representation, we don't see these teams and these newer faces that maybe could be something to look at in Counter-Strike 2.
Absolutely. And listen, we are going to be looking at a lot of those faces. We are, however, going to have to go to a bit of a break right now. We apologize for that. Hopefully the history lesson and some homework for you guys as well. Go check out Lucid Dream. Go check out Boo Dreamscape. Go check out the old MVP lineup. Look through some of the older Asian RMRs and the minors as well. You're going to have some fun times ahead of you as we have a lot of those names actually coming back in here for this event, and hopefully for many more. For now, though, we're going to a break. The second game is unfortunately also a forfeit. The old gods were too intimidating, and Legia and company just too many hands coming into this server. We're going to be going to a break. We're going to be back in about 40 minutes or so. So make sure you're tuning in again. Then we're off for now. I'm T-Time. He's Michael Yumikasti, and we're going to see you guys in about 40 minutes.
Ooh, crazy guy.
Welcome back to EFLARE's 100k Invitational. The Southeast Asian region continues forward. We've had some speedy, fast games so far, and maybe too fast. Hopefully this one can be a little bit more slowed down. EZPZ versus Balloon Animals coming your way. I'm Tea Time. Go on, Michael, you be captain.
Yeah, hopefully we actually get a game, and hopefully a very good one as well. You know, this time it will be the Philippines versus Singapore as two regions fighting against each other, with the EZPZ guys definitely having more of an edge, being a core that will be familiar to some, keeping up with the Asia region and fighting within the ESL Challenger League. I know for sure is an area where you might have been able to catch them, but also competing in some of these open qualifiers for these international tournaments. This Filipino core is actually kind of it's an interesting squad to look at, really. But when we've been able to watch them play, they seem to have a pretty refined game.
Oh, they're one of the few teams that actually have a map pool, right? I remember that they had a pretty good overpass as well. We were pretty impressed by that. They seem to have some good set strats to call out on difficult maps, like, you know, the nukes of the world, the overpasses of the world that we mentioned might not be coming into play. So as far as this entire tournament is concerned, they could be a dark horse just based off of their map pool. But Michael, I'm really excited about who they're going up against, because actually in Balloon Animals there is a player who, listen, if you guys are a little bit more old school within the Asian region, you're going to know this name. It's Bulbasaur. Bulbasaur is such an exciting player to me. He's another one of those pub stompers. Singapore had a lot of those. And Bulbasaur was one of the players who, you know, back when he was in Huatzai, it was always a matchup between Huatzai and Bren Esports about who would sort of be that last to qualify spot. And even further back, I think it was between, God, it might have been the Dreamscape guys and DNC, but, you know, my timelines are getting slightly mixed up on that one. And, you know, it is sort of that Philippines versus Singapore matchup that's coming through again in the newest iteration. So for EZPZ, I'm sure that these guys have seen their heroes lose to Bulbasaur quite a few times, as well as triumph over him back in the Bren Esports days. So it's probably going to be pretty exciting for them as well to face up against these sort of OG CSGO legends.
Yeah, the Balloon Animals having Bulbasaur and I think Tommy as well from, I think, was also a Dreamscape player, as well as moving on to Paper Rex, if I'm not mistaken. So having players that were obviously highly competitive within the region for a decent period of time, and then, you know, sort of took a break from Counter-Strike, so to speak, and now coming back to compete in this tournament. Yeah, there's a lot of returning faces in that sense, and I like that we're going to be able to look at that timeline that you're talking about, where maybe it's Bulbasaur of old versus some of the new wave kids that are sort of creeping into the Asia circuit.
Well, let's take a look at where they will be creeping and crawling, as the veto is sort of done for us. Again, Michael and I won't pretend. We don't really know where this veto is going to go for either one of us. But yeah, Mirage, Ancient, Anubis is sort of what we thought would be the major deciders. And with Ancient, Mirage, and Anubis being banned out, it'll be Inferno. Okay, maybe not too surprising. That is actually, funnily enough, a map that... And again, I don't really attribute maps to countries the same way, but for some reason, Singaporean teams have always really liked Inferno. Even when you look over towards the most recent iterations of teams who had made the ESL Challenger League from Singapore, you know, you think back to season 40, I think it was Fire Esports back then and whatnot as well. Inferno has been one of those maps that they're very comfortable on, but funnily enough, they don't actually seem to play it in a traditional way, right? It's very aim reliant that, hey, if someone peeks into us, we're probably going to have 5 ping playing on Singapore servers, so we will just get the headshot, right? We're just going to win out when we're holding these angles and whatnot. And Singapore always had that sort of defined style, in my opinion. So it's going to be interesting to see how this one sort of shapes out. For me, obviously, Inferno is a very new playing field, so for both of these guys, it will be maybe not quite as experienced for EZPZ as well, when you think about it in that way.
Yeah, I think the more interesting thing for me is going to be how much people are keeping up with the sort of the modern meta of how Inferno is developing, because there's quite a few teams that have strayed away from it, maybe not a fan of the way that the map has changed, you know, the elimination of Graveyard as a position, the apartments changing, the open skyboxes as well has opened up new opportunities for CTs in some capacities. And I think that's the biggest change that we've seen affect top tier play, is these sort of deep, long smokes that you can throw across the map that weren't there in Counter-Strike Global Offensive. And so I don't know how much that's going to impact the play here. I imagine, you know, especially for a team like EZPZ, they're keeping up with things very, very on par with a lot of other teams sort of vying for some of these limited spots that you get in these open qualifiers. Whereas for the Balloon Animals, I don't know that they're going to have the same level of repetitions, or maybe do the same level of homework. This might not be the same Inferno that they remember.
Well, let's find out whether it is on the server itself, as we do head into the game for our first actually played out game for the EFLARE 100k Invitational.
Yeah, I'm excited to dive right into a Philippines versus Singapore matchup. We've got a lot of country representation of our 16 teams, and this is just two of the countries that we might be able to see further and further into. I'm hoping one of these teams makes it into the playoffs, and I think the favored to do so will probably be EZPZ. But this first battleground, this first stomping ground in Inferno will prove as a solid litmus test to what the Balloon Animals have to offer, and starting on that T side will be a bit trying.
Alpha's going to be looking to get aggressive in the beginning, and with all these T-side players heading back to the apartments, he's going to have a great chance to get a quick one, but isn't able to connect with the shots. Now it comes to the rest of his team, who are still swarming around the apartments. EFLARE goes out of the apartments, finds Nafu, takes him down, switches out for the USP. But with this ace stack, there are still 3 players here. However, rotations come through. The call's been made. The Balloon Animals are making their way back to B, and that's where Chinitz was going to be looking to pop them open.
Gotta get these dualies to really sing for him. First kill is great, and the second as well. The trade really labored there for the Balloon Animals, but doing a good job of finding more kills around the map, and only Estelle was left. Only to be taken down deep CT. The Balloon Animals going around the world, and I love the quick call there. As soon as they realize they're spotted inside the apartments, they redivert, challenge into second middle by jumping out and forcing that fight onto Naofu. Suddenly, EZPZ had no information. They didn't really understand where the Balloon Animals were headed, what their intended target was, and it just fed them further and further into a hole.
Bit of investment coming out from Estelle, has put up the deagle for himself. This is another one of the things that I am also interested to see, Michael, right? We've sort of had everything so formalized on higher levels, the top sort of professional levels of CS the same way, where everyone's got the same buying patterns. I'm curious about what we see coming out from these guys. In the meanwhile, though, a lot of kills found by the USPs, so maybe they're regretting not having Kevlar and any deagles with it to try and continue aggressing down. 3 players in middle is still a scary place for as his stack continues to peak out. Even some team damage coming in. Tommy's not feeling good about this one. The bomb is dropped back. USP number 1 is taken down. Jonger as well will fall. Estelle, though, now comes into play, and with the P250 flanking in, it's only YSK. Has to try and bring it back. A one-on-one. Chinitis does have a P250 advantage because of the lack of HP, and with that, he can actually take that round away.
The Balloon Animals just face-checking in middle met way more players than they were expecting. Nice little double stack in that new cubby inside of middle from EZPZ, and that was an overlooked angle. The flash wasn't great either. First player fully blinded, and so that was the first domino to fall, but as soon as they get that kill, suddenly it's just a calamity of fights in through mid, and the Balloon Animals were certainly not ready. That's a great way to overturn it. Thought the investment into the deagle might have been a step too far. Like you said, this formalization of the economy that we see in the upper echelons of Counter-Strike. You know, if we're gonna see a deagle investment, we're gonna see a bit more investment from everyone else as well. But that one hero set of upgrades on both the P250 and the deagle proving to be enough for these longer range duels late round.
I mean, the P250 especially got the work in, right? But it was most of the USPs that brought players down low. So much chaos, so much team damage as well. Balloon Animals will be regretting that one. I will say, I like the fact that EZPZ goes straight into 4 rifles. They don't, 5 rifles rather, they don't really put any money into SMGs. That is strongly appreciated when you know you're going to be facing up against what is likely a force buy immediately after.
And you force bought us, so we'll force buy you back. That's the classic.
Those are USPs, but yes.
Listen, it's all about trying to go tit for tat as much as you possibly can.
Flashbang down middle. Kanoit will just be getting some information. Beyond that, just forcing out some util. Balloon Animals. White swings come through. There's another fall. It will be Kurosaki to follow through as well. Balloon Animals not really able to get into the easy peasy side. Quick repeaks are giving them advantage on advantage, and not a single loss so far. Only Bulbasaur left alive. The Balloon Animals are struggling on this first one.
Yeah, not getting anything really accomplished. No damage done, no rifles that could be recovered to make matters worse. So, easy peasy after winning on basically USPs in that second round, now bouncing back and having a very stable start to their CT economy as a result of it. Balloon Animals will have to bend the knee, only having Glocks to come into this round. Shouldn't see too much of an investment on anybody. Maybe someone sacrifices for a flash, but that's about as much as I really could have justified myself. And so they just go with no investment whatsoever. We'll try and brute force into an area.
No. Nafu does take a ding to the head, but no real worries. It's only a Glock. Kenoit is fading away. It's time to get some farm up. Now, there isn't a crossfire in mid. Maybe there's a kill to be found, but with the Deagle now pulled out, Kenoit is not going to be letting his foot off the pedal at all.
I did have to just do a quick little check to make sure that Younger is actually Pappuccino.
Okay.
That was the 5th player I was expecting to see on the roster. And it is him, just under a different name. This is the full EZPZ squad that sort of holds from the core of what was Moon Esports, I think, quite some time ago. I've been playing together for a couple of years now, and, well, that's not the start you wanted to come into the first gun round. Molotov straight onto Naofu and taken out of the round without even really being given a gunfight.
Right, so
Estelle is American boy.
yeah, I was trying to figure that one out. Thank you. Okay, got it. American boy is Estelle. Shinizu is dead, and Kenoit is providing a little bit more firepower. So names be damned, it's all about the guns, and right now there's only one of them available on the B-bomb side. Dronga making his way back over, Pappuccino rather. And as he does hear the footsteps, won't really be able to connect with any of the spray. Will have to try and rotate back out to the back of the B-bomb side. Now, is there a duel to be had before the rest of his team actually makes their way over? No one's giving it up to him. Apries playing very defensively. And with the flash being missed, Jonger just peeks out wide regardless. Molotov doesn't actually spread to the new box players, so Nico's fine. Apries, good for the one. Jonger moving out, isn't able to control his spray. And Apries is all alone at the back of the site, getting 3 kills.
Yeah, attentions weren't drawn to him on the duels, and so just finding headshot after headshot, just doing so much damage between each of these fights. Even though Younger was doing so well to keep them busy and keep them contained, for a priest to just come alive like that, really providing a lot of extra space. And sealing the round in for the Balloon Animals on their first investment, well, bar after winning the pistol, but we'll forget about that one as quick as possible.
Second nade doesn't actually go all the way through. Jonga might have just been taken down completely. Shinizu in the meanwhile, good for the one, and they're somehow being allowed to live for so long. Jonga continues the fight, and it's actually a team kill. The Molotov from Shinizu, assuming his teammate was dead to rights, will just guarantee a spot in the grave. That is unfortunate.
Yeah, I don't even really blame him there. It's a surprise that Jonga survived for as long as he did. So while it might have been the final tick of the Molotov that took him out, his job was more than accomplished. They're looking to aggress, flash straight into that smoke, and they're both caught full blind. That is a perfect pop flash, setting up Chinitz and Naofu as well. Easy peasy. Making that look really simple, but it was a very chaotic start. One in which Balloon Animals are going to be disappointed they didn't get that trade extremely quickly on Younger when they had him completely locked in at the sandbags. Also, I had to do a quick little check to make sure that I'm culturally accurate. I think Younger, in the way that it's spelt there, means younger in Dutch and Afrikaans, which is strange. I don't know if that's really the intention that he's gone for, or whether I've just spouted a bunch of useless trivia to you, but...
Well, oh no, Estelle's not been checked, and he won't need to get fire off for the first one either. Should just be able to pair two together, but he's whiffed the spray, and now on the drop down, the P250 on the other side could be threatening a priest. Finds Estelle, takes him down, and with this, the A-bomb side is very much open, and with Bulbasaur in the middle, this Deagle had a chance, it's just not enough. Shinizu takes him down with a wide swing, can't hold on to the angle. Nico might be thinking about maybe even getting aggressive and finding one. Shinizu's gone too far to the left, and with that, Kang's actually come through with 2 big ones. Dronga and Shinizu both down. Kenoit all alone, and he's got nowhere to go. Nico / Kang, whichever one it is doing a really great job for Balloon Animal side. They're holding on to these bomb sites really effectively when they actually get the bomb down.
Yeah, I mean, when they're cracking into the bomb site and they end up in these scenarios where they understand exactly where the rotation is coming from, they're doing a solid job of locking down their positions and keeping themselves alive. We saw it with Priest on that B bomb site. This time it's Nico just before that bomb goes down. Really solid stuff in holding their positions, which, you know, these are actually, you know, skills or relevant perks, I think, that will transition well to a CT side when we get to see them on the defensive end. For now, it's about getting themselves into those scenarios as frequently as possible, and EZPZ have not been shy of challenging. In fact, even just peeking down middle on Kenoith with an XM, not exactly a gun made for that range. Love the idea for the boost.
This is so much better in CS2 than it was in CSGO.
Yeah. I don't think you had the same clearance, nor the same cover.
You were both visible. Like, both of the players were always visible if you tried this in CSGO. It's really annoying.
Don't imagine the balloon animals are going to be very privy to this particular boost.
And, oh, well, doesn't matter if Chinitsu misses that first bullet. They will react. That first frag found, and Bulbasaur continues forward, make it 2, and solo clearance on that B bomb site, man. And sure, Kenoith can come through, pick up some money for himself, but YSK is fine with 9 for the cause.
Yeah, and this is a very modern thing to be doing. You know, losing that B bomb site and just immediately opting for that save. Kenoith clearing out a path as a result of dealing with the lurker, but the damage was done. Bulbasaur with that double entry into B. I thought for sure he was a dead man walking. But you talked about him being a bit of a boogeyman within the region. Maybe there's some haunting to be done for even the new bloods.
And I can't tell you how excited I am to see some of these names back on the server. Because this was sort of the era where I never got to Class Station CS. And I was always following these guys because, you know, the people in my community, everyone told me, yeah, man, this guy's insane and everything. I'm telling you, if he just made it to the international stage, if you saw him on the big stage, he'd be so good. And I obviously didn't really have the same eye back then and everything as well. Now that I get to see it, it is pretty cool.
Yeah, from viewer to critic.
Yeah.
Your palate has grown since then.
There's
I was watching UK Counter-Strike.
Oh man, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I know, it didn't develop very well.
It's pretty good. Oh. Do you see that too, or is that just me?
I believe, yeah.
All right,
that is
guys,
also happening on my end. No,
we know that Valorant was famous for its colors, so to try and bring a bit more of the Valorant flair into Southeast Asia, to bring these players back, we wanted to bring some more color. It didn't work though. It didn't work. Yeah, YSK has gone down. He was too distracted by the pretty colors.
Yeah, the glitch theme really threw him off, I'm sure.
It's like, there's a new Asian in Counter-Strike?
Might be. Oh god, boost this time will be successful. Bulbasaur cannot react to that one. And now setting up inside of second oranges as well as the new box. Nico trying his best to find one of these fights, but Younger will find him. He's just sitting behind the smokes, knows that this player has to be tagged, palm over from his teammate, and so just willing to take that fight outright on the B-bomb site. A 5th round here for EZPZ. I do like that the Balloon Animals are just trying to assert themselves early. I think they realize as well the more space they cede in the early segments, the more likely it is that EZPZ are going to have good reads or stack the right bomb site. We're seeing as well the shenanigans they're up to on the B side itself by opting for these stacks very, I mean, I say early in the half, but I also have to understand that there's only 3 more rounds left in this half. They're pulling out these tricks that are intended to catch the Balloon Animals off, and they have been succeeding, but not always finding the kills with it.
This is very classic EZPZ. Right, they do like to play their from site strats and everything for a CT side. It seems like it always has been the case. Just find whatever gimmicks you can, find whatever set pieces you can, and make sure you can get a couple of rounds. And look, it's working for them so far, but now the Molotov is flashing out Chin. It's a flashbang forward. Kurosaki is good for the first. Tommy, rather, is going to keep on peeking forward. Jongo on the other side is expected, taken down, and Nafu will trade, only to pull out a smoke at the wrong time. That could have been a double. A solo kill to perhaps still be found. Nafu fighting inside the smoke, but running out of bullets. A USB pulled out, but it's too late. Bulbasaur will take him down. Bomb can be planted, and now retake is questionable. EZPZ don't really have money over here to fight up in the next round if they lose these weapons now.
Seems like they're going to commit to it, but a fresh smoke inside of CT calls it off. Estelle was low HP, so even considering going for this was a bit of a risk. Like you said, their economy is definitely in a place where saving these weapons has a whole lot of value. But the balloon animals, once again, cracking into the top side of Banana and doing so with some, I mean, very normal CSGO utility. I think it's a little telling from, you know, our conversation earlier about the way that the meta is developing around Inferno. No deep mid smoke, no aggressive maneuvers in towards second middle, which feels like more of an option now for CTs as a result of that smoke being available to them from spawn. But one of those rifles that EZPZ wanted to hold on to was taken out of the equation, so we're seeing one of these players shortchanged on the defensive end, and maybe the Balloon Animals can capitalize on this, win this round, and it's worth its weight in 2, which is all that remains in the half.
Smoke down, and Tommy is still accelerating. Nafu around the corner will be noticed, but it's such a clean shot through the corner of the smoke. Kenoit can get so much extra space, but he's not prepared for the fire right back. The grenade to take him down, and Jonga is struggling with the MP9. It's not an angle that can really work for him, so he's trying to change it up. Coming on the flank, but the flank will still really be almost inaccessible. Maybe he can find a kill or two when they're trying to turn back, but the rest of his teammates are so far away. Going for a retake here seems impossible. A priest is caught out though. Jonger finds a solo frag, but will be deterred by the Molotov.
Has to feel like they go for this. Flash is good. Nico caught, and the MP9 will be able to track him down. Players in both mini and big pit, and Jonger unable to get much more aside from that one kill. But Bulbasaurus running out of ammo just as Chinitsu swings. And a kit available here for the defuse. That's a retake for EZPZ.
Really felt like it should have never come through, and you could see what Jonga's trying to go for over there when he's just trying to spam through the MP9. He's just making it so that the M4 can maybe come through and replace him. But in fact, the flashbang ends up catching up the player almost by accident. I can't remember who it was who died under shelter, but he was almost behind the pillar over there. The timing just works out perfectly. Jonga can get a second kill, and then with the AK just gets onto the bomb site. You know, combine that with the kill Kenoid is able to get. Feels like that's the only reason why EZPZ had a chance in this one.
Yeah, especially when they've been starting a lot 4 or 3B and then only having one player sort of lurking inside of those apartments. To change the pace like that, that was actually a really good call from Balloon Animals. They got the entry, they just weren't able to sort of bridge themselves into the bomb site quick enough. Alfu, very awkward duel inside of apartments, but a player tag that will be finished off by Younger, who didn't have the support from an extra teammate. Flashing through middle, though, a priest is trying to hunt down that trade as best he can instead of just taking space.
Maybe some of these guys need to switch to the A4. Right? We're seeing a lot of people running out of bullets on the A1.
Yeah. I mean, Bulbasaur also victim to it, and he had an AK with 30.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, he's marked retired on Wikipedia. Okay, I'll forgive him.
Yeah, I turned him into Bulbasaurus because he's just, you know, so retired.
Three players on the B-bomb site, right? So you've got the numbers in the right place. Can they put up the numbers, though? That's sort of the question. Flashbang in. Bulbasaur's good for one. Kang and Kurosaki, though, completely demolishes bomb site. They weren't coordinated with the flashbang, and they couldn't take the peaks together. So even though the UMP was trying to draw fire away, there's no one fighting with it.
Losing Nafu through the smoke as well. So this retake looking like it's just going to fizzle up. a 6th round here for the Balloon Animals. A very competitive half, all in all. You know, from winning the pistol to then losing follow-up rounds, the Balloon Animals did a good job of bouncing back and having these nice individual step-up moments from both Apries and Nico alike to really help jumpstart the T-side efforts. And then they just start playing together, you know, bursting as a squad. And we're successful in winning a lot of these duels outright versus EZPZ, who on paper should be the more refined team. You know, they love their defensive setups. They love playing off each other for contact, but unable to hit the shots. And sometimes, like you said, running out of ammo, just mismanagement of these duels. If they can pull things together here on the T-side effort, though. Nico spawning a bunch of players in towards second middle, so a bit of an indicator as to what the plan is here for EZPZ, but they could redivert as well.
Oh, what is it? Did they end up team flashing?
Yeah.
That seems... I'm not sure how they managed that, to be honest, but whatever, it's fine. Happens sometimes. Oh, no. Balloon Animals might have misread this one. There is the moto smoke down, so they do play a bit more conservatively on the rotate. Won't just be hard committing to it. And as YSK is moving back, it's actually a quick peek back outwards into arches, which nets him the frag. Tommy as well, circling around. The CT ramp is going to be very difficultly executed. Bulbasaur's also right around the corner. Good for the one while Tommy continues to fight. And now with the gun being switched out, it's all down to Tommy. Losing Bulbasaur on the back line to the secondary prong of assault on the B side is now can to go down. A priest all alone, a 1-on-3 Balloon Animals. Unable to find the pistol round.
Yeah, they actually did kind of have the right read. You know, they understood that it could have been a B-side redivert. They did the same on their pistol round, but they went heavy banana. Instead, this was a split orchestrated by EZPZ, just getting that moto smoke down and trying to slip through those arches. And even though they lost one player in transit, you could see how awkward it made the B-side defense. They basically had to fight in the open from CT, trying to build a crossfire. One player from spawn, the other, you know, more construction-sided. And they just couldn't hit those shots fast enough to make it worthwhile.
Yeah, Mike, you know when you talked about challenging conventions? We've got an R8 and a Scout out. Scout's out. Let's see what the R8 can do.
I'm a big believer in the Scout.
I thought you brought us in the R8.
Yeah, that one. We need to workshop that one.
Well, listen, it's gonna get nothing. Never mind. I got excited.
Hit a tag. You know, it does a lot of damage. That is true.
It does.
But it feels like if you're going to... The R8 is a Scout, basically, without the zoom.
Yeah.
Just fires too damn slow.
You know, Bulbasaur, he's just amazed that we've got chickens with double colors now. That's why you can see that. I was like, what?
Do we not have that in Go?
Not when... I mean, we did towards the end, but, like, he'd retired by then.
The
chickens and chickens being different colors and stuff was 2022.
Yeah, we got valuable updates in the last couple of years.
We did. We really did.
Still block doors and flashes.
Hey, listen, that's a feature, not a bug.
Yeah, if the flash pops behind the chicken, then you shouldn't be blind, you know?
Yeah, true.
And you don't, so...
Well, kind of a full buy from the Balloon Animals side, not really. It's a confused buy, and it is confusing me.
Yeah, I mean, investing in that Scout is, I mean, it's not cheap to get that weapon into your hands, so YSK has to, of course, shortchange himself. Bulbasaur as well on an MP9. Which is fine on this map. You know, there are several maps where you just simply don't want those types of weapons, but especially if you're going to find entries, there are weapons that can be retrieved. YSK even trying to challenge round the smoke inside of middle will lose his life, so it ends up an even trade. And they're trying to use that pace, use the SMGs to their advantage. Nico, 1 kill, but caught on a reload, and Estelle now taking that space inside of the A bomb site, and it's so successful, so much space and territory as soon as he realizes that Moto player is going to be distracted by Estelle's presence, leaving only Bulbasaur on his SMG, but they're can be a weapon that he could retrieve. He could opt to save, but still trying to challenge.
Surely now the time when he backs off. Deep grenade through, and if he'd gotten the kill on the jungler with it, then maybe there would have been an argument to be made, but unfortunately for him, none of his bullets actually connected. So, yeah, Nade's not going to finish anyone off. Bulbasaur will be retreating backwards to save this Galil. Still not much to take forward. 96 will be seeing balloon animals with the Galil and most likely an eco behind it, maybe a force spy, but it does feel like now that we switched over to the T side, then the problem that EZPZ was happening, which was that, hey, balloon animals do just sort of peek out and kill them very often with a flashbang or two because EZPZ didn't want to get aggressive in their CT side. That's sort of gone away now.
I wasn't even sure Bulbasaur would save, really, given that he was cut from a different time in Counter-Strike.
Like, oh, Virtus Pro won the major. That's cool, man. So, what did Pasha do with the trophy the second time?
Maybe not. He wasn't that under a rock.
No, man. I'm sure he's still playing and everything. Just
yeah,
for fun,
course.
watching things out, right? Michael Jordan didn't stop watching basketball just because he switched over to baseball. Priest in the 5-7. Does have some room to maybe find a quick frag before Kenoith can turn the corner. Good for one, but can't make it two. There still are two CTs available on this B bomb site, but with Bulbasaur being back in CT spawn, this isn't going to be the most conducive position to actually find duels with the saved Galil.
Yeah, you have two choices here now if you're EZPZ. You either try and retake the apartments and retake mid where, you know, you just had a player flank you on the banana take, or you just fully commit to B, and they're just waiting out this smoke to actually go for that latter option. Nice kill from Naofu. Instant headshot, but Tommy at the back of the bomb site. Deagle not really succeeding. And so EZPZ choose the right of the two. The balloon animals hadn't overstepped from that A bomb side either, so no fast rotations, but they are here now to try and challenge, only to lose more and more players. Eco's all that remains on his 5-7 and very, very alone.
Oh.
Well, for sure, Kenoith would have him, but once again, ammo management has not been a strong suit of this game.
I will say that the previous round could have gone a very different way if the roles had sort of been reversed on the B-bomb set, right? If Bulbasaur isn't the one with the flashbang in the smoke, he gives that over to his pistol player, he can take the duel with a flash, something like it. You know, they get the information, he can play off of his teammate. Could have been a slightly different round in that case, right? But unfortunately, just not setting up the gun for a multi-frag, and then the fact that Naofu's doing due diligence just by playing the smoke right before it blooms and whatnot. Yeah, it's just a bit too much.
It's just a very compromised spot when that entrance to B smoke is kind of fading in the way that it is. And face check all of it, and if you do, you have to complete a wide swing a little too far. All the way the balloon animals were winning rounds on T side would actually transfer nicely to a CT effort, but at the moment that has not proven to be the case. EZPZ are 3 away from getting over the finish line, but first kill goes their way.
Second one, though, doesn't. Kang is able to turn things around. Bulbasaur as well, right on the money, and this will be a very difficult scale onto the side, especially with Naofu not clearing out Kang. Chinidis is all alone, and he is just waiting for death will be delivered to him swiftly. Balloon Animals find their first CT side round.
Yeah, trying to get themselves out of the apartments, had the territories to simply walk it, but right into the crosshairs of the balloon animals who were keeping good mind of those positions. Didn't go for anything too tricky over towards Banana, weren't too aggressive, playing very defensive on their setup, and even though they conceded a lot of that control to EZPZ, just when they were given those fights, they didn't let those opportunities slip away from them. Not a very complicated looking round, but one in which I'm sure EZPZ are looking to rectify. It's a team that should have a few of those gimmick plays like we saw on their CT effort. You know, they were assembling boosts, they were deliberately trying to catch the balloon animals out. I think even the way that they approached the pistol was kind of indicative of a slightly abnormal approach to a pistol round. One that, I mean, if you're playing for as limited amount of time together as the balloon animals probably are, you won't have proper protocols or rehearsal on something like that. I like to see them get a little weird.
Yeah.
What I'm basically trying to say.
It's like stand-up comedy versus improv, right? Both of their place. Even if only one of them ends up on Netflix.
Yeah, the other one's good for shorts, though.
Yeah. Nico, though, hoping to give a short life to Kenoit, will be able to find the frag and immediately retreat back. No harm, no foul to the CT side, while EZPZ will be having their default crumble just a little bit more. They're going to have to put in the due diligence to check out apartments for a second presence as well. It'll slow them down slightly. With a minute on the clock, that could be a problem.
The thing is, there doesn't seem to be any real movement here from EZPZ with the intention of retaking banana controls. So Balloon Animals are going to sit with this two-man setup on B. Nafu just trying to run distraction and interference to a certain extent. But they're playing contained inside of the bomb site. Apri's just holding on to Long, and now that he's face-checked and now that he's seen them, now just taking the fight outright. Not primed with a flash, no nothing. Just tried to win that duel. They've dealt with Nafu as well, so a flank can be accomplished. 20 seconds on this clock. EZPZ need to crack into the bomb site, and Nico doing a great job holding high atop the boxes, and that flank finally coming to fruition here for the Balloon Animals. They took them a while to get their first round on that CT side, but now getting two back-to-back. They'll have an easier time ahead of them with EZPZ, likely going with a half investment here.
Gotta say, man, Nico's looking clean on some of these sprays. He's, you know, let's say, looked much more impressive than maybe some of the other performances so far, right? We do recognize a ring rust on some of these players and everything, but Nico's looking strong. I'm excited to see how he continues to perform across the rest of the tournament as well, but of course still need to get past EZPZ here and now first. In case you guys don't remember, this is a double elimination, so whoever ends up losing will have at least one more chance, but you do still want to preserve your life and not lose it out in the first round. And speaking of losing things out early on, most of their life on Estelle and Nafu has been lost, and well, it'll be completed. Tommy's got the easiest kills of his life, and with Bulbasaur behind him to back him up, this is almost a full cleanup with just two.
Oh, is there a smoke? He picked one up off of the body, so now he can transition. Get that smoke down, maybe even get the plant in as well. Right, the nade doesn't kill him, or the spam. Wow, Nico just came guns a-blazing straight through that smoke. Hard pre-firing, knew that he was probably low HP as well. And that's mission accomplished, really, for Chinitz in that 1 versus 3. Get the bomb down, extra money. Did some damage to the CT economy as well. But they avert the eyes of many to what could have been a pretty ugly development had he been able to get that plant down and maybe play a post-plant. Definitely tell the difference in styles between EZPZ and the Balloon Animals. Felt like there was a lot more brute force approach to the Balloon Animals takes. Whether it was sending 3 or 4 players over towards Banana and just having that one lurker inside of the apartments, or the way in which they barreled up mid on one of their calls. Sometimes keeping things simple can be just as effective as adding layers of complexity.
Going to be a very important duel out for Estelle for the apartment side if he wants to lurk forward. They decide against it. The one with Banana having been given up to them for free this time over. Priority on contact is being made. Now Fu to continue forward, but as he's worried about Coffin, he has been spotted out. Bulbasaur will relay information and a quick smoke down, and it's a great timing forward. Blooming are at that 47 mark, so you'll see it there till 28. And the full execute is being set up for this B bomb site, but at the same time, Tommy's got a flashbang for himself. Bulbasaur's got 1 too, so actually going into the double flash will not be the easiest thing in the world. Tommy likely to be the first one to... No, he's up boosted up, never mind. So Bulbasaur likely to be the first one to swing out. Tommy won't even use the flashbang. Bulbasaur is good for the first frag, and now Tommy still not revealing himself. Picks up 1, makes it 2. No, Chinitsu can deny. able to recover, but Bulbasaur still alive at the back of the bomb site. 10 seconds on the clock, and as the CTs start to come over, the Ts are completely encapsulated. The first duel does give it away. Chinitsu can actually get the bomb one, and Nafu's just trying to distract long enough for it to go down. He's gone and got two, while the bomb is planted. It's all falling apart. A Priest now all alone. A 1-on-2 cannot connect with the bullets. Nafu has done it all.
How has he done that? How has he managed it? Not only the fact that Naofu has just been the absolute hero, but also Chin is just staying alive for as long as possible there, planted inside of the fountain. You saw from the perspective of the balloon animals there, unsure about where that plant was even going down, how they deal with this. And you just get this one extra kill on Tommy. Chinitsu was about to pull the bomb out to get that plant in as fast as possible. Oh, those are thin margins and really good movement there from Chinitsu to just play his life when he had one more bullet away from death. Balloon animals now in a bit of a bind. They will be able to afford up some semblance of a buy should they lose here, but that is not exactly the option they're most favored towards. Losing Tommy already towards Banana is already a bit of a tragedy. They've been playing these 2-3 splits on each of these bomb sites so frequently. Now attacking the A side, maybe recognizing that rotation happened. YSK now alone to try and defend the A side, but tucked away and not exposed, not seen. Kenoith lets it go by. Trade is there, but Nico unable to get the same heroics done again. A 1-on-4 for Bulbasaur. That should be a call to save.
Should the strong word, Michael. I don't think they'd like you using it. Bulbasaur feels like he needs to contest, and look, the first kills were free, sure. The second one, though, although there was an opportunity to get a quick swing by, headshot in, just will not materialize. Estelle's gonna continue forward, and right as the smoke pops out, Bulbasaur looks away, afraid of a flashbang. Loses out his life, though, as a result. And Balloon Animals will not have a buy, so despite a great fight that they have put up for themselves, one round from Naofu, where he's able to just steal so much away from them, turns the game around on its head.
Yeah, so unfortunate circumstances maybe for the Balloon Animals. It did feel like we were seeing that comeback happen right before our very eyes, but now this could be the knockout punch, a Nova, a part of the arsenal here for the Balloon Animals. Not like it's unpopular these days, but have to see some good effectiveness out of it. AWP for Bulbasaur, but pretty naded down on that corner.
No. Priest is down, but YSK can at least get the train out from the damage he dealt earlier on Bulbasaur. An op that hasn't really been revealed so far, and as he continues to push forward, maybe a kill to be found, but a shot that's missed and a flash above. Might be just trying to get aggressive to make sure they don't realize he's all alone on this bomb site. Maybe the sound of an op is enough to deter EZPZ, but it doesn't feel like it.
This is good space from Nico. They can cheat the rotation, and he can have a fast flank on that B bomb site, but Bulbasaur needs backup.
He also needs to hit a shot. Backup's coming over. Bulbasaur's got the one, and the smoke down will delay for a while. Do the T's push through? Yes, they do. There's no Molotov here. Kurosaki's 5-7 will be reigning supreme at close range, but he can't get a second, and in fact, it's team damage, which doesn't really help, but Chinitsu's all alone now. Kang still proceeding forward. Chinitsu even manages to turn around. If he wasn't mid-air, maybe there was a kill to be found, but Balloon Animals extend their life a while longer and break the T-side money as they do so.
Yeah, and it takes some guts. You know, they've been playing a very defensive CT side so far this half, the Balloon Animals, and for them now to take this risk, for Nico to have gotten aggressive, to get that extra information, and to have that cheated rotate over. There were support flashes coming over for Bulbasaur. He was able to hit that first shot and preserve his life, enough that that flank could finally come into fruition as well. There was a noose tightening on EZPZ, and they got hung out to dry. Now on pistols themselves, just trying to change the pace, increase it over towards Banana. Tommy standing his ground at sandbags, but taken down, and Bulbasaur forced error on the AWP will miss, but actually pre-aiming the jump on a cross. I love that from Bulbasaur, locking things down from CT, and the rotate in from construction, very timely. The Balloon Animals now just one away from tying things up.
I mean, not just that, the fact that EZPZ bought it into the previous round as much as they did, and they didn't get a bomb plan out of it. Estelle's only got a flash, but you've got a Mac 10 on Jonger as well, and look, Tommy was in a position to maybe get a multi-kill, but the important point is that he's able to delay long enough. Bulbasaur wasn't the one who got the kill there, but you gotta love the thought, right? It's nice to see some sharpness in the mind as well as in the hands.
Well, they jumped across on the corner check to CT, so he was like, if they're gonna do that again, I'm ready this time.
Fool me once. I'm just gonna miss a second. Nico's down. Aggression into apartments has been a winning formula for the Balloon Animals so far. They've managed to trade it out even if they lose a single player, but it doesn't feel like this round will be giving them quite as much. Oh, okay, Estelle's very trained under his teammate's head.
I think just checking to make sure he was in the right position to set up for a flash, maybe through that mid-smoke, but calls it off. Still a 3A setup, even after losing that player into the apartments. A lot of trust on Bulbasaur to lock things down at B, but now forced a little further away from Banana. That might force a rotation, wait an extra 20 seconds, and the Balloon Animals will not be comfortable with the way that they're currently set up. Smokes will keep them here, though.
It's going to be a very dangerous spot. The Brackets players need to be able to find the skills fast, and Tommy needs to get the defense. Good for one, good for two, and they have completely destroyed EZPZ. No one making their way onto the A-bomb site except for Kanoit. He's the only one left alive and with plenty of time to plant, but he's trying to bait the CTs out into peeking. Maybe that's a mistake that he's made, though. Smoke has dissipated. Is he looking to run back to B?
There's no time for that, surely.
He's taking a lot of time just to try and find a duel, though. And by this point, Bulbasaur is trained on the cross. If he does miss the shot, though, there's a world where Kanoit could have found the kill. Can't connect on the headshot. And as a bomb is now planted, the CTs will be aggressing through. Kanoit waiting for them to push forward. Doesn't realize the second has moved past, but can still get it done. A breeze will fall, and the Balloon Animals are down to the lower bracket.
Oh, I mean, what a solid performance there from Kanoit. Recovering what was a 1-on-4, basically, on the bomb site, and just being able to pull that together in the clutch. A fantastic display from what was, honestly, a very back-and-forth game, but of explosive finish, that's for sure.
Oh, that was, honestly, didn't feel like it was going to be possible, right? They go into the meat grinder, and the only condition that you're thinking is, hey, Tommy's not had the best of games. He's had some struggles holding down whenever there's more than one player. He does get a single kill, but the second Tommy gets that double, you're thinking, all right, cool, this round's over. They've got the kills in brackets. He's got the kills over here, despite the fact that they lost a man early. It's okay, but at the end of the day, it's just not enough, and then, you know what? It's just 1v4 that I suppose is all it takes. It's that and the 2v5, obviously, that they pulled out on the B bomb side. Easy peasy. Maybe weren't prepared for how difficult this game really ended up being.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely caught off guard as well with how competitive it was, considering EZPZ are one of the teams that I think are certainly one of the sort of prospect underdog teams within the region that are certainly putting in the repetitions. They're maybe not always getting to the same heights that other teams are within the region, but they put up a good show, and they usually have some pretty well-rehearsed setups, some nice boosts from them, but the Balloon Animals just showed some really nice fundamentals in terms of the way that they were trading, the way that they're approaching taking segments together as a squad, and they made this game really difficult, and that just shows some as well some of the caliber that we're going to expect out of some of these teams that are kind of effectively mixes, but a lot of that doesn't just go away from you when you take a break from the game.
Yeah, I mean, you might not be up to date with the best flashes and the best smokes and everything, but you know how to train, Kill, right? And I love that you brought that up, Michael, because that was really what was happening. Every time EZPZ had a mechanical failure, Balloon Animals were there to trade out after they got just one kill. And there were quite a few mechanical failures. I won't lie about it. This wasn't necessarily the freest Counter-Strike, but it is still great to see so much competition on the server regardless. EZPZ will, however, be coming out on top, and those late round situations were a bit much, Michael. They were just too many where you see, you know, Kanoit, you see Naufu, you see Estelle being able to get away with a round that they never should have had.
Yeah, it's that core from that Moon Esports roster that were really pulled to question in the later stages of this game, and boy did they deliver. So I'm really happy that we got to see not only Naufu have that incredible round, but then Kanoit being able to clutch things up for the squad. Otherwise, this was going to be an overtime that I don't think EZPZ felt like they should have been in the first place.
Oh, absolutely not. And look, we've got the MVP coming up over here. For me, maybe I'm a little bit biased from one round or two, but I do feel like Kinoit just had so much impact coming out into it. But no, Shinizu, all right, okay. I mean, he had a couple of kills here and there, but I won't lie, I did feel like it was between Naofu and Kinoit for me.
Yeah, maybe just for the big plays, really. I think Shinizu maybe did a solid job just sort of chugging along consistently throughout the game. I mean, you know, there were many different candidates, I think it's fair to say. Even from the Balloon Animal squad, you could have maybe had one, but, you know, we only choose MVPs from winning squads, so Shinizu is our MVP for that game. This is an admin-decided MVP, so we may not necessarily agree with it all the time, but we'll throw some hands behind the scenes to make sure that everybody's on the same page.
Oh no, I'm gonna be getting my keyboard warrior stint going up immediately after this. Don't worry, Michael, I'm ready for this one. Naofu has been wronged, but he will be right where he wants to be, though, in the upper bracket. Bulbasaur and company, however, will actually be going down, as it will be, you know, it's a double elimination. No one's out till they're out. Unfortunately, though, we do have some bad news for you guys, which is to say we've got another forfeit. And listen, guys, the thing about forfeits is hopefully they're just a day one thing, and we know you needed some time to recover. Right, you need to be like, whoa, god damn, this Asian CS is so much fun to watch. I don't think I can take this kind of adrenaline. I could have a heart attack while we're watching. We care about you. We care about your health. We're gonna give you a break. You guys go out there, get your blood pressure machines on, wrap it around your arm, blow it up, do whatever you need, right? You know, it's gonna be fine. You're gonna be okay, and we're gonna be okay.
Turn from personal advice to medical advice real quick.
Hey, we do it all over here. We do it all, and we also do it all while we take a break. There's gonna be an hour-long break. We'll be back with the broadcast in about that much time. It's gonna be more fantastic Counter-Strike to be played. Make sure you tune in. We're gonna be back in an hour.